So what we do is we start off with the sand. Now what I've done here is I've very quickly just filtered out any big pieces of sticks or debris that I don't want to include in the resin piece, but mainly I leave in as much as possible so it looks more genuine on the finished piece. So what I'm doing here is I've put a small amount of sand into a cup and added some clear resin and just mixed it until I've got the consistency that I'm after. And then basically, as you can see here, we just pour it straight onto the board. It is still self-leveling, but you get like a thicker finish with sand and you still retain a little bit of texture in the sand. If you want a smoother effect, add more resin. If you want it to be coarser and have a lot more texture, then add smaller amounts of resin to the sand. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just spreading this about, because what I want is it to be a bit thinner on the upper edge so that when I pour the resin on top it does flow over the top of the sand. I've got 2 boards on the go at the moment because I've mixed up enough for 2 boards, so I'm going to flip between the 2. So what I've done now is I've moved back to the first board and we're now pouring the tinted resin. Now I've started off with 3 colours. I've got Jade for the first colour, a Teal for the second and a Sapphire blue for the third. So it gives the impression that it goes darker the further out to sea that it goes. And then using the heat gun just zap the bubbles. Now you'll do this, I need to do the sand a few times. Just because you're going to get some extra bubbles happening through the sand, but so I'll go back and I'll do that on several occasions. And all I'm doing now, just using my fingers, is just gently tapping the resin so that we get a nice swirl effect. And that's the beauty of metallic pigments and pastes, is you get quite a lot of depth in the resin with the metallic, so you get more of an impression of it looking like water. Now again, I've not waited for anything to cure at this point, and I'm now just pouring some clear resin, and I'm not pouring it all over the piece, I'm just pouring it in waves to give the impression that it's you've got waves happening. And then using a very small amount of white, I'm now just picking out the top area of a couple of areas in the clear. And then using the heat gun on the high speed setting, I'm now blowing this around. If you don't have a heat gun that has 2 different settings, then use a hairdryer for the same effect. And what happens here, because we've done clear before the white, you'll see more in this one. When you do the clear before the white white stays separated from the other colour, so it doesn't blend with the other colour, so you get like a nice wave effect sitting on the top. Also, it helps with the movement of the white over the sand, so you get that authentic looking surf happening over the sandy areas. Now for this one I did actually use a bit too much white. I didn't like the final result, but there was just a bit too much white for me. However, you know, depending on what kind of surf you want to do, then you know the same principle applies. Just apply the clear, apply the white, and then zap it with a high setting on the heat gun. And once you're happy with the design and layout, it's now just for the finishing touches. So now I'm just adding some shells to just give it a nice 3D effect, and it just adds a bit of interest into it. So I'm just using shells which I'm dipping in some of the leftover clear resin. Now the reason why I'm dipping them into the resin is it gives the shells a nice glossy finish as well, and as the resin runs off it looks like it's sitting in pools of water on the sand, so you get a nice effect with that also.